In Matthew 18, we see a parable of Jesus that is extremely powerful for today, that every single one of us can apply. Matthew 18:23, therefore the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servant. And as he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. And the servant's master took pity on him, and he canceled the debt, and he let him go. But when the servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees, just like he had done before, and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay it back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay that debt. And the other servants saw this and went and told the master everything that happened. And the master called that servant in and said, you wicked servant, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I have had mercy on you? God is giving us a picture here of the level of forgiveness he has shown us. This man owed him, his servant, owed the master, bags upon bags upon bags of gold. Gold. And the master forgives him and lets him go. But then this servant goes and he's the master of another servant. And that servant owes silver coins. There is no comparison to the amount his servant owed him to what he owed his master. And there was no level of forgiveness for that. He choked him and he put him in jail. And then some people saw this. They go take it to the master. And the master says, shouldn't you have had mercy the way that I have had mercy on you? That's wickedness. Jesus is basically saying, I have forgiven you an amount. You have done to me something that no other person could compare to in doing something against you. Nobody can hurt you the way that you've hurt me. Nobody can do you wrong to the degree that you have done me wrong. Nobody. And nothing they do could be as bad as what you have done to me in your sin. When you crucified the Son of God on the cross, we all fight about who crucified Jesus. Was it this race of people? Was it this race of people? You want to know who crucified Jesus? Me. I crucified Jesus. I put him on the cross. I drove the nails in because the Bible says he took my sin on him and he died my death. So Jesus is telling me in this story, Jade, you could never have somebody else hurt you as much as you have hurt me. And yet I have fully forgiven you. I have paid your debt in full and I have let you go. So if I turn around and somebody does me wrong and I choke them out and I put them in prison, I go against them, I fight them for it, I'm wrong for that. The Bible says I'm wicked. I'm wicked for that. In any areas where I can't forgive somebody, and I have been there, and I know you have been there, and we will probably be there in the future where somebody hurts us to an amount where it is extremely hard to forgive and you think that you can't. The Bible says when you allow that to come in and you allow yourself to say, I will not forgive you, I'll choke you out and put you in prison before I forgive you, the Bible tells us it's wickedness. We have to forgive the same way that we have been forgiven. And Peter asked Jesus in Matthew 18, he says, well then, Jesus, how many times do we forgive somebody? Because there's got to be a limit here. There's got to be a limit on how much love you show. There's got to be a limit on how much grace is given, right? So is 7 times enough? Like, that's pretty high. I'll forgive 7 times. And Jesus says, no, Peter, that's not enough. 70 times 7, you forgive them. What is Jesus basically saying? Is he asking you to go get a piece of chalk and a chalkboard, sit here, they at almost 70 times 3, 70 times 4. No, he's not telling you to do that. He's saying it's endless. The amount of times you forgive somebody. It's endless. It's limitless. You forgive and you forgive and you forgive and you forgive and you forgive. over and over and over, the same way that your master, your God, your Lord does for you. He's constantly forgiving us. Jesus is saying, live a lifestyle of forgiveness. I wake up already in an attitude of forgiveness because I know somebody's going to hurt me today. And I know I'm going to hurt somebody else today. And also, I know I'm going to hurt God. I might have a thought that is unpleasing to Him. I might be lustful out of nowhere, and I know that hurts the heart of God. I might be rude, disrespectful, impatient, mean, and these things don't please God. So I have to walk in a lifestyle of forgiveness so God can continually let a river of forgiveness flow from me. The Bible also tells us plainly, Jesus is saying, if you can't forgive, God can't forgive you. If you can't forgive someone else, God cannot forgive you. It's just a principle of the word. You must forgive as you have been forgiven. Now, does that mean you feel it? No, you do it. You do it until the Lord completely heals your heart. You may be hurting for 7 years while you're forgiving 70 times 7. You might be hurting for 70 years while you're forgiving 70 times 7. But God will continue to heal you. God will continue to release His presence on you while you continually forgive. And you just say it every day. God, I forgive them for how they hurt me. I know I have hurt you too. I know I have hurt other people. So I forgive. I'm no greater than them because they did me wrong. I'm no better than them because they did me wrong. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive as you continually forgive me. The only thing you can ever give to somebody is something you have been given. If you don't have it, you can't give it. God's forgiven us, so now we own and have inside of us forgiveness, so we give it out. You have been forgiven, so you forgive. This has been given, so you can give. Believers, people who lean on Christ, people who confess the word, we can't walk around with grudges and chips on our shoulders and judgments and bitterness and resentment. We feel like everybody else feels, but we don't do what everybody else does. You hurt us, we'll help you. That's what makes us different. You break us, we'll lift you. That's what makes us different. We do things that other people don't do. Jesus says in Matthew 5, bless your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. That's what makes us different. My encouragement to you today, and this word is for me too, let's forgive those that have hurt us like we know we've been forgiven of murdering God's Son. Let's forgive people the same way that we have been